recently there's been a lot of graffiti and tagging in the city and in the school district. My opinion is that that's being done by multiple different groups.
Okay.
And it's not necessarily gang graffiti. The graffiti that we saw here in the downtown area, I believe, is just individuals that are tagging. And the difference between tagging and graffiti is graffiti is usually done by gangs and gang affiliates, and tagging is more individuals who are just trying to be artistic and show, you get the skater kids, the pot smokers, they'll go around and write 420, or they'll have a moniker on their own, and like we saw up here, there was HBP and there was ACR. Those are all just, it's been like that for a long time. When I worked code enforcement, we had caught a couple kids, and they were able to identify, which taggings were theirs. And it's just kids going around and doing, their own individual stuff. Gang graffiti is if you look, you can, once you see it, you'll be able to tell the difference. Gang graffiti is usually Sur 13, the SUR with the 13, or the Norteños, which is the NORTE 14, and they'll have monikers like Scooby or Creepy, or they'll have their own individual names, and usually they're tagged up that way. And for the rivals, if they come up to a wall that's been tagged by the blue team, the Sureños, then the red team will come and they'll cross it off, which means death to the rival gang, and they'll usually put their graffiti on top. Well, it's territorial. Those guys want to show that Moses Lake is theirs. This is their town, and and the rival gang will do the same thing. And the funny thing about Moses Lake is there's kids. It's not just like Nose Vista is the blue team and Peninsula is the red team. You could have a blue guy in one house and next door is the red guy, and they live next door to each other. It's really weird. And sometimes they will respect each other and get along, but as soon as they're with their groups, it's a different story. I was a reserve officer, and then I became a provisional police officer, and I did that for about 12 years for the Moses Lake Police Department, serving the city of Moses Lake. I became pretty familiar with gangs while I worked with the police department, but I also worked at the Grand County Juvenile Detention Center, and I worked at the Sunrise Group Home, who had multiple gang members there. So I worked a little bit with the probation department, monitoring them. I'd go to Mattawa, I'd go to Quincy, Warden, anywhere in Grant County. We had people on our, kids on our caseload. And so part of my responsibility as a treatment monitor was to go and, check up on them. And so I got to spend a lot of time with those guys. Yeah, I believe, amongst all the candidates, that are running, I have far more experience, working with gangs. I understand the gang culture. I understand why they do what they do. I believe that, us as a community, we've tried to put task force together. We've tried to do different programs for them, but unless you really understand why they behave the way they do, it takes more than just forming a task force. You have to have people from all aspects of the community that understand these kids and understand the culture, to be able to combat that. The gang problem is one of my top priorities. Has been for a long time. However, as an average citizen, just a normal Joe, and you don't carry that weight that you need. As a council member, you're going to get a lot more ears open up to you. You're going to have a lot more people hold you a little bit more credible. So when you say, hey, I need to get a probation officer, I need to get a schools resource officer, people in the school district involved, you're going to get more participation because, as a council member, you're going to get more, more credibility. And I think that's very important to be able to put a team together of people that understand, people that have knowledge, people that have dealt with these kids and dealt with the problem, and be able to work together. And, you know, they say it all the time, we need to work on the game, but it's not an easy fix. In my opinion, you know, years ago we had the DARE program, and that was a proven successful program. It worked with kids from, you know, ages of 10 all the way up, and it was a very, very positive program. But funding or, you know, whatever, that program went away. And I believe that we need to find another DARE program or an equivalent program to be able to target the youngsters. And, you know, we're not going to see a success right away. It's going to take, you know, 4 or 5 years before we're going to see a difference. But it needs to happen that way. It's not going to be a quick fix. There's no way that you can go out there and contact these people and say, hey, stop doing what you're doing, because it's going to get worse. The media pays a lot of attention to the gangs, and lots of it is kind of viewed as disrespectful. And when you disrespect people, especially you know, that culture, they want to rebel, and they want to show, okay, well, you're going to disrespect us, we're going to disrespect you, and that's what ends up happening. If you notice, when the media comes out and says we have a, you know, gang problem, look at this gang graffiti, we need to stop, and people start saying, well, we need to stop the gang problem and the gang graffiti, it gets worse. You know, the town gets lit up. That's because we're going about the wrong way. You know, these kids are kids, and they need to just be shown that people care about them. I think the reason they get involved in gangs is because they don't have anybody to show them, you know, that people care about them. So they get in bunches, they get in groups, and they find, you know, love. They find, you know, they're accepted, you know, and they, you know, they have to prove themselves, and that's why you get the graffiti, you get the assaults, and you get the shootings, and you get the thefts. All that stuff comes, you know, along with that. My opinion is you have to hold them accountable. You do, but there's a proper way to do that, and it's just like anything else. You need to try to work with these kids and show them that we're not out just to lay the hammer down. They need to understand where the citizens are coming from. You know, I explained one situation to a youngster. I said, well, how would you feel if I went to your house and went in your mother's living room and spray painted MLPD or Multi School District on the coffee table? How would you feel? And his response to me was, well, that'd be disrespecting me. And I said, well, in essence, that's what's happening out here. You guys are disrespecting the town we live in. And they kind of got a little, you know, they kind of sat back and thought about it. And I think that's what has to happen. We need to communicate with them. We need to bring them in and let them know that, hey, this is our city. This is our town. You know, respect it. You want to be respected, you know, you got to give respect.